All right, welcome to another episode of the Walking Off Podcast, brought to you by Blue Wire Hustle. I am Francisco. I am joined by my co-host Todd Varney. Todd, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic. Brewers clinched the Central,
They
and
did.
if I seem a little distracted, I am. I have the Packer game on in the background here.
3-0. That's all I got to say. 3-0, the Raiders are.
How long until John Gruden does what John Gruden does and messes that up?
I don't know. All I know is that we're in year 4 of a 10-year contract, and I don't like it. I mean, it's the last 3 years we started off really hot, and then after like week 8 or 9, they don't ever win again. So I'm just hoping this year is different, because last year I think they were 7-3 or something, and then they lost almost every game. Ended up under 500 or just at 8-8. Hopefully that doesn't happen this season, and this year we can actually make some noise in the AFC. The Packers, the last time I checked, they were winning. I don't know what the score is now, but are they still ahead?
Yeah, they're up 17-7 right now. Third quarter just started. So
okay, 17-7.
But of course, the defense looks like the defense of old and isn't interested in stopping anybody. So this might turn into a shootout.
Yeah, you never know. I feel like whenever San Francisco and the Packers meet up, it's always a pretty intense game. I feel like that's a really good rivalry, especially when you think, not to get on a football tangent, but Aaron Rodgers wanted to be drafted by the Niners. They were in talks about getting him and all that. So were the Raiders for there. So I think I'm happy the way I'm sure everyone's happy the way things worked out. But hey, let's talk about these Brewers, the Brewers that are now the NL Central champs. Absolutely. If I am being honest, Todd, at the beginning of this season, I didn't expect them to be the champs. I knew they had potential to be good. I didn't think they would be this good. And I didn't think the Cardinals would be that bad. And I thought the Cardinals that we're seeing right now would be the Cardinals that we would see for most of the season. And if I'm being honest, I think had they been playing the way they're playing all season, I don't know if this division would be the Brewers. It would be a lot closer than what it is now. But yeah, I mean, division champs, can't complain.
No, we'll take it. And I'm with you there. I thought that this was going to be the Cardinals division to kind of run with this year.
Yeah.
Especially after the Arenado trade. Their pitching, their starting pitching kind of faltered on them, especially once Flaherty got hurt. And then their bullpen was just bad for a lot of the year. And I texted you, I think it was a couple weeks ago during one of their series, and said, like, there's 2, maybe 3 guys in the lineup for the Cardinals that would start on the Brewers. You're looking at Goldie, Arenado, and potentially Yachty given the day. I mean, right now, I'd rather have Omar, but Omar's not here if you have Yachty. So I'll go 2.5 on that one. But they're just getting production from everywhere. Tyler O'Neill's playing great right now. Harrison Bader. And I think on most teams, those guys, on most good teams, those guys are outfielder 4. Dylan Carlson's had a great rookie season. Tommy Edmonds coming around. They're just getting it from everywhere. And then their trade deadline acquisitions, which I thought were kind of a, let's call it what it is. Let's just get some workhorses in here to eat some innings, and we'll figure it out down the road with Lester and Happ. And that looks like it might have been the spark that really pushed them. And when you think about their rotation being held down by Lester, Waino, and Happ, like, it gives me confidence that, hey, maybe I can go out there and pitch.
Yeah, I agree. There's 3 teams that really shocked me in the trade deadline: the Braves, the Indians, and the Cardinals. And I say mostly the Braves and Indians. Braves and Yankees. The Cardinals as well, when they traded for the starting pitching that they did, I was thinking, I don't know if this team's really in it, and that the trade didn't seem like a team that was trying to go all in. It also didn't seem like a trade for a team that was giving up. It was just a really random, like, we'll get this guy. And I'm like, okay, well, he's at the end of his career, but now it's been working out well. They've 14 or 15 in a row they've won.
I think today was 16.
16. Okay, so they're just cruising. And if you are the San Francisco Giants, if you are the Dodgers, what that means for you guys is that you really, really need to win the West. Because if you are in a wild card game and you're facing this team that has won 16 in a row
Yep.
and are literally just firing on all cylinders, their starting pitching has been great, their bullpen has been locked down. They're getting contributions from all over the infield and the outfield. They have a lot of veteran talent. They have veterans who have been to the World Series and have won a World Series. Think of Yadier Molina, Waino. They have talent all over that infield, and they have a good manager. I would not want to face them in a one-game match. Like anything can happen in a wild card game, and that's the kind of team that comes in hot. Like I mentioned this before, wild card teams, when they come in hot, they can go and win the whole thing. I don't know how far this team can go, but just based on the teams that they've beat already, they swept the Brewers. The Brewers are a very good team, one of the best teams in the National League. I wouldn't want to be any team facing the Cardinals. Luckily, the Brewers have won the NL Central, and we don't have to worry about that. We can watch the Giants beat each other up against them. We can watch the Dodgers, whoever that team's going to be. And hopefully, we don't have to face the Cardinals. Hopefully, we don't have to face the Dodgers. We only have to face one of those teams that are going to be out of the NL and the wild card. So I think this Brewers team is set up really well. Although the Braves, they are no slouches as well. They will present a tough matchup. We shouldn't sleep on the Braves or the Phillies if that happens to be the way that things work out.
Yeah, I mean that the NL East is far from decided, but between those two teams, and the Phillies are playing good ball right now. As is Atlanta. They're both 7-3 in their last 10. The Mets, man, they really fell off, 1-9 in their last 10. So they're out of it. But yeah, the Phillies have been playing really good ball. Atlanta is just quietly going about their business. That was another one, like you said, their trade deadline moves. You were like, okay, what are they? Jock Peterson, like that's your answer, like, especially when Acuna went down. I think everybody just kind of expected them to fold, but not knowing what's going to happen with Freddie Freeman, they clearly wanted to make one more run here, and they've been playing solid ball in the second half. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I'm with you. I definitely favor a matchup with either of those two teams rather than playing any of St. Louis, LA, or San Francisco right now.
Wait, you just saw what St. Louis did to the Brewers. I mean, we were hot, kind of coming off a game against, it was the Tigers, I think, the series prior. And I mean, the Brewers were playing good ball, and then the Cardinals come in and just 4 in a row, 4-game sweep of one of the hottest teams in baseball. And at the time afterwards, I said, you know what? Let's take a step back. Let's look at this from a different perspective. This team is a really good team. Of course, Brewer fans on Twitter and on Facebook, the end of the world, this is a team. This is what we're used to as a Brewers fan. Like, this is Wisconsin sports. Like, we're just not going to make it. And I'm like, wow, you know what? This Cardinals team's a really good team. Like, let's chill out a little bit. And we went against a team that was coming in hot. They won. They swept us. It doesn't change my mind at all about what this Brewers team can do in the postseason. Good teams get swept. World Series teams get swept in the regular season. It happens. It happens to the best teams, the worst teams. The best teams get swept by the worst teams. It's baseball.
Absolutely.
Anything can happen. And like I wasn't too stressed out about it. I still am not, especially after facing the Mets, who have been struggling, but they have a lot of talent, from the Polar Bear to Francisco Lindor to Javier Baez, who is what he is, but he is a very dangerous at bat when he isn't striking out. So I think this team is playing well, and like we saw what we saw from Corbin Burns. You and I were both at that game, just adding to his Cy Young resume. Hopefully he wins. I think he'll be top 2. It's just going to be a toss up between him and Max Scherzer. I don't know how it's all going to shake out, but he added to his already impressive resume. And then we saw what Freddie Peralta did today, and give love to Lauer and Hauser and all these other pitchers. Was it Lauer who shut them down in game 1?
Yep.
Yeah. And he has an ERA that's better than a majority of starting pitchers. I saw a tweet. I can't remember who tweeted it. I would love to give him credit for that tweet, but he's a good pitcher, and he may get a start in the postseason. I don't know how it's all going to shake out, but
Yeah,
this starting
Lauer's
pitching
at a
is so good.
2.93.
That is so good. And he's pitched a lot of innings. I mean, he's at the beginning of the season. He's another person, a player I didn't know what to make of. We didn't know what we had in him. Uh, it's just crazy how the early beginning of the season to now, like the growth we see from players like Freddie Peralta, from Lauer, from Hauser. And then, the consistency of injuries when you're not injured, decent starts from Brett Anderson, because that's pretty much he's consistently either going 5 or 6 innings or he's injured. And it's just, but whatever it is, like this team has gotten contributions from everyone in the rotation. And again, Cardinals series aside, I think this team is still going to do some big things in the postseason.
Absolutely. Real quick on Brett Lauer. 113 innings pitched this season, 114 strikeouts, and a whip of 1.12. I mean, he's been as solid as you can ask for a guy in that position, right? That's what it is. He's looking like that trade. I mean, coming into this season, that trade did not look like it was working out well for the Brewers. Urias was kind of without a position. Lauer didn't do a whole lot, wasn't looking really solid. Grisham won a Gold Glove last year. Davies was used to get Yu Darvish to San Diego. And it looks pretty damn good at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely take that. This team moving on into the postseason, sure, it'd be really easy to go, okay, well, they just got swept by the Cardinals. Well, you know what? We've also swept quite a few damn good teams.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, we've played bad against AL Central bad teams. But you know what? We've also played good against some really good teams. Look what we did to the teams in the NL West this year. We dominated the top 3 out there when we played them. So I'm not concerned. I'm not going to take a 4-game set or even a 10-game set here towards the end of the season when they had it all but wrapped up and say, well, they can't play in the postseason because of that. We see it throughout the year. When a team's hot, they're hot. The ball bounces their way. They get the calls. They get the flares to drop with guys on second and third. And all of a sudden you're like, how did that drop in there? Like Manny Pena last night had that one with the bases loaded that somehow Conforto got to.
Yeah.
And it like that thing, that was right in front of me. And it felt like that ball hung up there for an extra 15 seconds. Like it just never came down. And so it's stuff like that when you're a hot team, if that was St. Louis last night, that ball's dropping every time. And then they're probably going to make a bad throw and the dude on first is going to score. Like that's just how that goes for those teams when they're hot. So that's fine. The Cardinals have also played really bad baseball at points this year. So, are they due to cool off? I mean, they've got a pretty solid schedule stacked for them the rest of the year. They've got tomorrow off, 3-game set at home against the Brewers and a 3-game set at home against the Cubs. So they could definitely stay hot and carry this into the postseason. But they've also got then they'll be playing the Dodgers, I believe, at that point. So
the Cardinals or the Brewers?
The Cardinals, sorry. Right now, it looks like they'll be playing the Dodgers. They do finish the season, the Dodgers, against the Brewers. So that, depending on how competitive the Brewers are playing at the time, or if they're really just kind of going through the motions, keeping guys loose and things of that nature, trying to get set up. But, they could definitely run into a wall there and get shut down. Max Scherzer is a hell of a lot different than whoever the Cubs have been trotting out there. If that's who the Dodgers decide to go with in game 1. So,
well, and to your point, like I said, the Dodgers, they're going to do everything they can to win these games because they don't want to face this team heading into a 1-game wild card when a bounce here, a bounce there, an error can really change and ruin a really good season for the Dodgers or a really good season for the Cardinals or the Giants, whoever that may be. I think I'm really interested to see how the Brewers play out this last several series. I know Burns has to get his innings in order to try to, keep up that Cy Young resume going, and he has a good one. And then Peralta, like, are we going to start giving him some rest? Are we going to start giving Lauer,
After 5 more
Hauser,
strikeouts.
five
Peralta
more?
needs five more strikeouts.
He's gonna get it. Like, he's pitching so well. And I just want to see, because I think for me now, the biggest thing is just to stay healthy, heading into the postseason. If this team isn't 100%, and no team will be 100%, but as close as you can be to 100%, it's going to benefit them so much more. And then you just look at teams like the Dodgers, who are just everything. They had to give it all in to get to win their division. San Francisco, the same thing. The Cardinals, they have a good lead in the wild card, but they can't just rest and try to, because that can disappear, if they have a really bad week. And the Phillies have a really good week. So it's interesting how this team is going to be compared to other teams that can't afford to lose a game. The Brewers can. I mean, now they're just playing for records, the best record in their franchise history or things of that nature. So I think it's just going to be interesting how Counsell plays it all out. And I trust him. I think he's going to make the right decision either way. Kevin Holden last week, when he was on covering for you, he mentioned that maybe it's going to be like an extended spring training when, you might see Hauser go out there for 3 or 4, and then Lauer might come after him, or Freddie might go out there for 3 or 4, and then someone is going to come after him, and just kind of piggyback a little bit just to kind of give them some reps and, at pitching, but at the same time, minimizing the risk of a major injury that would really hamper this team's postseason expectations and hopes.
Yeah, I think, you kind of trot, especially your big three. You want to keep their stamina up. You want to keep them, in their routine. You trot them out there and say, hey, guys, you're throwing 80, 90 pitches today. You're not going to, I don't want any pitch to be a high leverage pitch, right? Like, we don't care what happens. If you want to go out there and throw 90 fastballs, go out there and throw 90 fastballs. Like, just use this essentially as a bullpen day for live pitching, and let's get out of here. Don't hurt yourself. Don't overextend. Same thing to the guys in the field, right? Like, sure, we would love to slow down St. Louis, but let's not do anything stupid. Let's not, Lorenzo Cain, don't dive for anything. Don't run into a wall. Let's not 100%. Freak out. Let's not freak out on defense. Let it fall. Let the guy get on base. We'll come back and do something after that. But yeah, I mean, just play smart this week. And man, we're heading to the postseason.
For the 4th straight year. And like I said, not many teams can say that. Not many teams have been to the playoffs 4 straight seasons. Dodgers, Astros, and maybe one other team. I can't tell off the top of my head, but that's pretty good company if you're with the Dodgers and the Astros, who are pretty much like the cream of the crop when it comes to postseason experience. And, I know obviously we can talk about the Astros and what they did, but that season aside, they were 1 game from the World Series last season. And there's a good chance they'll be there again. Like they're really good teams. And for the Brewers to be up there with them in terms of success in the regular season, at least, it's pretty cool. I want them to be now comparing with those teams that actually make it to the postseason and have success. Like, I'm tired of just making the postseason. And I get it for a team that prior to this past couple seasons had made the postseason 4 or 5 times overall. And now they're in their 4 straight seasons. I get that it's nice to actually be in the postseason and have teams that have consistent success. But like, we got to start doing something more in the postseason. And so I think an ALCS game 7 or ALCS game 6, where you almost get to a game 7, like, it has to be something where we can't be one and done. We can't lose to the Braves. That would be a huge upset if this team lost to the Braves.
Don't talk to me for a week if that happens.
I may quit baseball. I get so invested in these games, like, and it's almost to a fault where if it doesn't go one way, like, I'm like, oh, I can't even listen or watch any baseball for a while, because that's just, I get so invested and emotionally It's I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want to even put that out into the atmosphere.
Let's forget we said that. Let's forget about that. I think one thing that you brought up is the team making the postseason that consistently, and as Wisconsin fans, we're spoiled to a point. Like we've mentioned before, you've lived through some really rough times as a Raiders fan.
Oh, yeah.
For the Packers, yeah, it'd be nice to watch them win a Super Bowl again and again and again. Let's not forget that the Patriots are the outlier, right? They're not that's not the standard to that. I think most teams would be fine with winning a Super Bowl every 15 years. That's pretty decent. Now, I enjoy the fact that for the majority of my lifetime, less a couple of seasons here and there, I've watched a team make the playoffs. I've watched a damn competitive football team, and it's been a lot of fun. Luckily, it's been the same thing with the Brewers here the past 10 years. They've been competitive for most of it. Going back to 2008, like that was obviously a hell of a run there with CC. And then just, 11 was a fun year. And then the last 4. It's been a blast. And I don't want people to get caught up on, yeah, but we never win it. A lot of teams don't win it, but we're there.
It's really hard to
win. Exactly. You have to, like we were saying before, all those flares have to drop. Like everything has to go your way. There are so few teams that win it all and have, don't catch every break. It's so tough. And to even make it to the postseason this many times in a row is tough. And so I don't want people to lose sight of that, of sure, it might not have always looked as easy as fans would like it to look, but this is a damn good baseball team and they're capable of playing really good ball. And I don't know. We've talked about this rotation at length all season. I still don't know that we've given them enough credit for what Burns and Woody and Peralta and Hauser and Lauer. And then you get into the bullpen. And I mean, Devin Williams hasn't got the love this year that he had last year because he was so dominant last year. It's hard to repeat that success. Same thing with Hader. I don't know that Hader is any worse than he was in 2018, but he seemed like a much more dominant pitcher in 2018, but it was the way that he was being used. Kind of that fireman mentality of, hey, it's the 6th inning and this is the heart of their order. You got to go out there and stop this. And that's what he did. So it's just a lot of guys doing a lot of different things. What they say today, 60 players the Brewers used this season.
That's crazy.
That's wild. And I think we kind of talked about that early in the season, that with the short year last year, with, guys being younger in their careers, not having pitched as many innings in a season as they are this year. Like it was going to take a big group effort. And it's wild that they're here. Like we've said too early in the season, when we didn't want to come on the show to do a nightly recap because like, okay, well, they couldn't score 2 runs tonight, so that's boring. The trials and tribulations of Keston Hiura. There are just so many things to look back on throughout this season that you're like,
that feels like a whole season ago, Keston Hiura. Right.
And we're still here. Like we're in it now. Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I'm glad that the Brewers haven't given up on Keston, but at the same time, I'm glad that he's able to be in the minor leagues, perfecting his game and improving, because he's going to be a huge piece. I mean, he's young, like he has so much talent, like he's going to be important to this team. But at the same time, this is a team that was focused on winning. They know that they're not always going to have this rotation. Eventually, they're going to get expensive, and they probably won't be able to keep Woodruff, Burns, and Peralta. Maybe one of them, Peralta, has that really team-friendly deal, which is a steal now, just looking at the number that they're paying him and how the contract and all that. But that's why I think it's so important that this team try to make a deep run this season and the next season, because eventually they're going to have to start paying these guys. And I mean, they're going to be commanding that Max Scherzer money, that huge money. And for a team like the Brewers, I mean, they already have Yelich on the books. They maybe might extend someone else on the team. You never know, right? And it's just the finances of the game. Like they're not going to be able to keep all three of them. So it's really important for me that they do well this season. They try to make a run. They can win this World Series. They can be back next season. Like they have that much talent on this team. You're getting a full season of Willy Adames and seeing what he can do now that he's comfortable and he's with a new team and he's really, coming into his own as a Brewer and he's really led this team. And then you get another season of the big three, and then we'll see what Aaron Ashby can do. If you have Aaron Ashby as your fourth starter for a whole season. And then, I mean, there's no more Brett Anderson. It's going to be Hauser or Lauer as that fourth or as that fifth starter. And it's going to be really exciting. But this season, this year, they got to do something because, like you talk about as a Packers fan, you had Aaron Rodgers, and before him, you had Brett Favre. And they only got, what, 2 out of those? But one from each, right? I'm not a Packers fan, so I don't always follow along. But, I mean, you guys are lucky. Like, most teams don't do that. Like you talk about me as a Raiders fan, I've seen one playoff game since I was a kid, and they lost it because our starting quarterback was not even playing. We had a non-roster invitee or something start a post-season game against the Texans, and it went terrible. So I appreciate that this team is going to get into the postseason. And I know it's so hard to win in the postseason. Things got to go your way. You got to get that lucky bounce. The other team has to have that error that allows you to score.
Yep.
But for me, in order for this season to be a success, they have to go far into the postseason because you don't know how many opportunities you're going to have in the next couple of years. That's just the way it is with baseball. Some teams are really good, and next year they're not. It's look all over baseball. Teams like the Phillies, they have so much talent, they can't win. The Mets, they have talent everywhere, and they can't win. I don't know. I think they have to do something to make this season seem a success. Otherwise, it's just, I don't know. It's like almost a wasted opportunity because I don't know. It's just this team is way too talented to not go far.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot. Is in baseball, it's not just about having a talented roster. You could be damn good on paper, but you've also got to be able to put it together in the clubhouse. And that's one thing since Willy Adames has joined this team.
Yeah.
They have fun. And everybody that's been around this team mentions that. Everybody that you and I have talked to has mentioned how much fun these guys have together. Even when, Willie spent time on the IL, he was still there cheering the guys on. It's one of those, when Vogie was on the IL, he's still there with, and I think that says a lot when guys are on the IL, they still want to be there in the dugout with their team every night. And spending time around each other and just enjoying it and living for that moment and seeing who's going to have the next big game, the next big night, who's going to win the game here. I mean, shit, Jace Peterson has been money for this team all season long. And you're like, coming into the season, I don't know that either of us would have picked him to have any significant stint of time on the roster.
Tyrone Taylor, I fully expected him to hit a grand slam last night when he was up to bat with the bases loaded.
He didn't. I think the rest of the stadium did too.
We were all waiting for this is it,
Yeah, he got up there with the bases loaded and everybody just started cheering like, here it goes. Tyrone Taylor's going to hit a grand slam here. Like at first I was like, why is everybody cheering? And I was like, oh, because Tyrone's up. He's probably going to hit a home run. Got it. Yep. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know why he didn't. Like what was
he?
Yeah.
How dare he?
What a dick.
Scrub, No, but to your point, this team is so fun. And like you talked about, we had Andre on last 2 episodes ago, and he talked about how Rowdy Tellez had talked to him and said he loved this effing team because like he can just be himself, and you hear that from so many different players that they could just be themselves.
Yeah,
I think that's so key. I don't know. I just
real quick, not to cut you off. If anyone's watching this and you haven't watched the interview with Dre,
check that out. Really good interview.
We're going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes. So keep watching this, but then go watch that immediately. I don't care if you're on your lunch break. Tell your boss you're coming back late. I think that might be the best interview we've done this year. So
easily. Yeah. I'm trying to think who we said that for the last. This is our new favorite.
This is the new best one. I feel like every other time we interview somebody, that was the best. This is the best one we've had.
Yeah, I agree. I think he was probably the most, and like he prepped me too. He's like, "Hey, ask me this question because I can't wait to
Yeah.
tell you." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, dude, I can't
Beforehand,
wait."
when he was like, "Oh yeah, ask me this."
Yeah.
Hey,
Sneaking in there.
one more thing, quick, Francisco.
Yeah.
The co-host of my other show just scored a touchdown. So if you can start doing impressive things while I'm doing other shows, that'd be great for me to talk about. Touchdown, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Catch me on Game On Wisconsin, 7:00 Central Time every Tuesday night on the MVS show.
Yeah. Promote your other shows too, because I mean, I feel like every other day you're on a podcast.
Yeah, do we have enough time for that? Let's see. Tuesdays I have On Brand and Off Topic coming out. Give us a follow at On Brand Off Topic. Mondays and Fridays we've got Walking Off coming out, and then 7:30 Central Time on Wednesday nights I go live on Lombardi's Bar over at Game On Wisconsin as well. So give them a follow at Game On WI.
Yeah, and make sure you follow us. Listen to that Dre episode. Listen to all our other episodes. Kevin Holden last week was amazing. These guys really know their stuff.
That. That's one of the guys that we've said that was the best.
Yes.
He's always a blast to talk to. I'm so mad I missed it.
Kevin's our other favorite person to talk to. We do have a really good guest coming up. Kyle Bandejo. He is.
You just call me
Bandejo. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. So he works for Baseball America. He has a really good podcast from Phenom to Farm, which talks about players who went from high school right to the majors. He has actually an interview with a Brewers prospect who had jumped to the majors. I'm not too sure who it was. He didn't tell me the details, but he did tell me that. So he'll be with us Tuesday for maybe like a bonus episode. He also has a podcast called Big Screen Sports. It goes over every sport movie out there. He breaks it down. He's doing a Ted Lasso series right now, but he really, really cool guy. Excited to talk to him. He's been busy, so we've been trying to get him on for the last like month and a half. Finally got a chance to work it out Tuesday morning. That will be on the YouTube channel as well as the podcast. A ton of great stuff coming up. The postseason coming up. We'll probably get Dre back live, hopefully, if the Brewers make the World Series. He's already promised us that. So a lot of cool things happening. Todd, I will let you get back to your Packers game. I'm going to go ahead and jump on that and watch a little bit of that and see how that all ends. But give us a follow. Walking Up Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, review it, and like the videos. It helps us. It helps other people find our content when you like it and when you subscribe. That YouTube algorithm that I'm always trying to beat. It definitely helps us out when you give us a like.
I know we're so like insightful and give people so many great talking points.
Oh yeah.
And they just want to kind of keep it to themselves. So they sound incredibly smart when
don't keep it to yourself.
Don't keep it to yourself.
Share the love.
Everybody needs to hear about this. Because here's the thing. If you like what we're doing now, you just wait until we're getting paid to do this full time, and we can give you this content always.
You get paid, Todd?
No. No. But once we do get paid for this and we can do this full time, we don't have to spend time doing our other jobs.
A little inside joke between Todd and myself. Sorry for those who don't understand that. But yes, stick around. It's going to get exciting. We have a lot of ton of content coming up. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this episode up. Todd, you have a great rest of your night, and I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good, my man. Take care.
All right, later.